Right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm calling this meeting of the Public Safety Communications Task Force to order. It is 11:16 on May 13th, 2026, and I'm Barb Neal. As a reminder, the meeting's being recorded, and the recording will be posted to the task force webpage following the meeting. Let's start with our usual roll call of task force members. If you could verbally acknowledge your presence when I call your name. Paul White.
I'm here.
Jim Mack.
Here.
Michael Wright.
Here.
Morning, everybody. And Dan will not be able to join us today, and I do expect Ron to jump on the call at some point. So also today we have Emily Mullaney from Department of Public Safety as our administrative support. And I'm going to pause for a minute here because I see Ron is just signing in.
Sorry, I was late. I will stay for detention.
Okay, we gave you a 1 minute leeway and then we started. So for the record, Ron Kumitz is here as well. And so Emily, thanks for joining us. We also have our project management partners, Rick, Dom, and Elizabeth from Televate. Morning.
Good morning.
And I see a few members of the public here. Well, let's start with Chris Pedotti, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Good morning, Barb. I'm glad to be here. As everyone knows, I'm with DPS Dispatch.
Great, thanks for joining us. Dean Gilmore.
Good morning, everyone. I represent Vermont State Firefighters Association.
Thanks for being here. Matthew.
Good morning, Matt Gianquinto with EF Johnson.
Welcome. And Senator Renner.
Hi, everyone. Recent Senator Irene Renner, dialing in from Essex.
Nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
Good to be here.
I think that covers it for members of the public. So we will move on to approval of the agenda. So the agenda was distributed to task force members last week by email. It's also available on the webpage. Are there any changes needed to the agenda? Okay, we will consider it approved then and move on to approval of the minutes. So these would be the minutes from the April 15th regular meeting, number 77. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Move to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second? Paul, I'm sorry. Was that you?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on those minutes? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from April 15th, raise your hand or signify by saying aye. Hands are up. I don't see Ron. Michael, did you? Yes, okay.
I will make.
Ron?
I will sign on for that. Yes, my clicker did not. Here you go.
There we go. Okay. Ron's hand is now up. Thank you, Ron. So the minutes from April 15th are approved. And let's move on to project updates. We'll start with Televate updates and then move on to legislative updates. Go ahead, Dom.
Thank you, Barb, and good morning, everyone. Televate's activities have been primarily focused on monitoring the legislative activity and responding to any questions from the task force chairs or anyone regarding that. But we have also attended, last week, attended the kickoff by Agency of Digital Services for the CAD RMS requirements gathering session, and we are supporting that as necessary. And I did mention, Michael just informed me that the Vermont Ambulance Association is having their monthly meeting tomorrow, and we had discussed providing an overview to the VAA of the statewide LMR concept that has been discussed within the task force, and we'll provide them with an overview of that concept.
Okay.
That's
Excellent.
what I have today.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions for Dom? Okay. So on to legislative updates. I will give what I know, and Paul will likely have more to fill in on the things that I miss for sure. So H 935, which is the Emergency Management Omnibus Bill, passed out of Senate GovOps yesterday. That includes the language related to the task force that sets aside and gives spending authority for the CAD, the expansion, if you will, of Rapid SOS and GIS, and the LMR, 4.5 million for the LMR projects and associated activities. So if it's out of GovOps, I guess it would go to the Senate floor next. But I should note there were some changes to other parts of that bill, not impacting us. And I think my understanding is that it will eventually go to conference committee. Is that, Paul, is that what your understanding is?
Well, yeah, if the full Senate approves the bill as it passed out of Senate Government Ops, then yeah, because they didn't make changes to our part of the bill, but because there are other non-related things in the bill, it'll have to go back to the House for concurrence
Okay.
or conference.
Okay. So it has a few more steps along the way, but it's out of Senate GovOps at this point. There is also an amendment being considered to H 951, which is the big bill or the appropriations bill for the entirety of state government for next fiscal year. That amendment would direct 2.5 million of the existing task force / DPS funds to the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission for communications projects there, or a singular project there. That is what Paul and I testified on at House Appropriations yesterday, and I think it was last week. I was there, and I believe Dan and Paul were also there at Senate GovOps testifying on the same proposed amendment. So our position, what we've tried to convey clearly, is that the task force recommendations stand, and that those recommendations do not include pilot projects at this time. We noted yesterday that we're not able to speculate about whether or not the Central Vermont project aligns with the overall task force plans, as we have not seen that plan, meaning the task force has not seen that plan in detail. So they were there, Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, and Deputy Chief Joe Allsworth also testified yesterday. We heard a little bit more about their plan and some of their budgeting numbers, but not enough to certainly form an opinion on the fly about how or whether this would align. So Dan, Paul, and I will continue to respond to inquiries from members of the conference committee or other legislators, as they try to sort this through. But we thought it was important to stand firm on the fact that we sent recommendations and pilot projects are not included in those. So Paul, do you have anything to add on the legislative activities we've been up to?
No, I don't think so. You and I have talked so many times, it's hard to remember what was on the side and what was in the task force meeting, but I think everybody's up to speed on what was included in H 935 and what was not included in H 935. It did not include anything to do with governance. It put an end date on the existence of the task force, which is sometime in February of next year.
Yeah.
And then after that, if nothing changes, then responsibility for this work that we're doing shifts over to the Department of Public Safety. And yeah, and then this whole amendment to the state budget to take that 2.5 million out of our control and give it to Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission kind of took us all by surprise, but we're doing our best to adapt on the fly.
Right. And kind of navigate through those proposals and other conversations related to it. So it's been a bit of a lift. I think the conference committee. So the big bill, H951, is in conference committee, and I've seen that they've got meetings scheduled on their agenda. So we'll see where it goes. Do task force members have any questions for us on the legislative questions or comments on the legislative activities? Okay. Sounds like we're doing as you wish then. So that would be a good thing. That's the goal. Okay.
Sorry, I had clicking problems again.
So okay, Ron, go ahead.
I guess my question is, as I understand that there are one or two legislators that are from that whole central Vermont area who are trying to usurp that $2.5 million for a project which directly contrasts with like the goals that we set forth for land mobile, you know, in our recommendations, is essentially, you know, like regional projects that sort of are cookie cutter items where everybody gets the same thing, and you know, no one area. What is that word? You know, like it's got to be sort of uniform and equal. What are the chances that they are going to steal that money and go and do what we've advised not to do in the first place, which is to basically build your own system regardless of what anybody else says?
Right. I don't know the answer to that question, Ron. We did try to stress in our testimony in both Senate GovOps and in, sorry, I'm forgetting where I've been, House Appropriations yesterday,
right.
that the work that is outlined in H935 is based on the recommendations that the task force sent over. And the purpose of those was to lay this foundational groundwork upon which to build as we move forward, including eventually pilot projects and that type of thing. But that we're not there yet. I didn't learn enough about the Central Vermont project yesterday to know how well or if it aligns. So I don't know. It's difficult to say. And Paul, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, we have tried to stress that the task force's position is that we are not in favor of projects that would continue to build silos in
Right.
specific regions that don't align with our plan for the overall state interoperability. However, like Barb said, having not seen the Central Vermont plan, I can't say whether it aligns with our goals or not. So,
Well, and I mean, I guess part of my logic here is that, you know, part of the concept behind doing what we're doing, you know, building out regional simulcast voting systems, is that that's not going to require every department in that particular region to get all new mobile radios and base radios and portable radios. So it's cost effective. And if $2.5 million costs, you know, covers a pile of people buying radios that they don't need, then that certainly is not cost effective, and it's a waste of some portion of that $2.5 million. So you know, whatever bill they're trying to tack it onto, you know, should, you know, VSFA and the other organizations that are on board with this, with the task force plan, you know, should we be lobbying the governor's office not to sign it before it even gets there?
Yeah, I think I haven't seen their plan, but taking the testimony of the former deputy chief from Berry City, who is also president of the Capital Fire Mutual Aid Association. My understanding is that their intent is not to use that money for buying portables and mobiles and, you know, things like that. It's more mountaintops type stuff. Dom, actually, I see Dom has his hand up. He
Yeah,
may know
yeah.
more about what their intent is, but my understanding is that that's not what they plan to do with the money.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Paul. Dom, go ahead.
Yes, if I could, I was
Sure.
hoping to try and address Ron's concern. I am somewhat familiar with the Capital Fire Mutual Aid plan. The original plan they did develop prior to the task force developing a statewide concept, but it is focused on a simulcast to sell within their coverage area. Would be very consistent with the plan that the task force has been discussing. I'm confident it can be molded a little bit, if you will, to be in line with the statewide concept plan that the task force has recommended. It has been focused on infrastructure improvements, not on radio replacement, Ron. So it would be primarily on infrastructure improvements. And as I mentioned, I'm confident it can be molded into the current concept that we're looking at.
Okay, thank you, Dom. That is helpful. Provides a little bit of vision into what they're planning to do. I don't know what more to say about it other than we will continue to advocate for the recommendations that the task force has put forward. It is that amendment is attached to the big bill, the appropriations bill. So I think it would be premature and probably highly unlikely. Well, I don't know. I don't know what could become of that, but we'll continue to our talking points and stay focused on that, I guess is my message now.
Well, I guess given the extra information that Dom shared, that my position would be that the primary problem with just giving them $2.5 million. I mean, it very well may be that the $2.5 million is fairly well spent, but without evaluating what they're doing to see if there's a way that we can accomplish what they're doing and spend the $2.5 million, and while we're doing it, also position ourselves to provide for adjacent areas coverage as well. If whatever site they're using, should it be built out with a combiner, or should they use a slightly different site because it will serve them and some of the other adjacent area as well. I think before they are allowed to spend any of this money, that's stuff that we need to look at, because one of the big focuses of what we're doing is trying to to pool our resources and to avoid spending money unnecessarily and get the most bang for everybody's buck.
Right? Don't disagree with that. I think for now, we should continue to stick with our talking points, see where it goes, and then figure out next steps to get to the goals that you just outlined, Ron. So, yeah, that's where I am on it. Anybody else have anything to add? Okay. All right, let's move on then to public comment. I'll just go around the room here and see if anyone wants to provide any input for today. I am going down through my list here, and I'll start with someone that didn't have an opportunity to introduce themselves at the beginning. So Alex Fruland, do you have any comment for us today?
Yes, hello, thank you. No comment from me, but appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Okay, great. Dean Gilmore.
Thank you, Barb. I would just like to say that it's too bad that we're having this battle, because right from the very start, Commissioner Morrison traveled the state and explained that there was going to be no money for private projects, that this was going to be a statewide system that they set up. They couldn't force you to join it, but there was no money available. If every county had decided to take that route, where would we be after 3 years of you guys putting this plan together? And I think that we really need to support what you guys have put together. And I can tell you that Vermont State Firefighters Association has been very vocal. And I have been there. Chief DiBiase's been there. So we are supporting what you have recommended, and hopefully we can make things move forward in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Dean.
Okay, let's go. Going down the list, we come to Irene Renner.
Hi, thanks for the update. It's good to know what's going on there. Thank you.
Great. And Matthew?
Well, nothing to add. Just thanks again for making these meetings public and allowing vendors to hear about all the good work you're up to.
Okay, great, thanks. And Chris Pedotti.
Nothing to add here, Barb. Thank you.
All right. I think that's it for members of the public. If I've missed someone, speak now if you care to share. Okay. All right then. Moving on to new business. Does anyone have any new business for today?
Barb, it's not really new business, but it's just another update. I guess Dom had mentioned the kickoff meeting for the CAD RMS RFP process. So just make sure everybody's aware that that has started. We had our kickoff meeting, which mainly just consisted of introductions and a basic schedule of how the Agency of Digital Services plans to proceed with that, and look forward to having the second meeting scheduled. But it's going to be a very tight timeline, because since the current Valcor RMS contract expires at the end of the year, I certainly don't think we'll have a replacement product in place by then. So, but it's started.
Yes, that's a good point. And like you mentioned earlier, I forget what conversations have happened out of the meeting and what are happening within the meeting. So
Right.
Hopefully everybody's aware of what we're doing with ADS. I felt like they explained their process very clearly. They're certainly open for all kinds of input on it from us, and it is a tight timeline. So in fact, H935 calls for us to have issued, well, I'm sorry, Department of Public Safety to have issued an RFP for the CAD replacement and be under contract by, is it the end of the year or the first couple weeks of January? Yeah.
I think it's December 31, and I don't see any way of accomplishing that. I think they're going to have to do some kind of an extension to the current Valcor contract in order to bridge the gap until the new platform, whatever it is in place. But yes, the legislation currently that's working its way through the system says that us having authority to spend the money is contingent on DPS being under contract for a new CAD by December 31. So that's
right. So
slightly
we'll be
problematic.
Yeah, we'll be working fast and furious on that and making the most productive use of that time between now and then, assuming H935 makes it through.
Right.
And I think there had been some discussion at some point with that an extension of the current RMS contract is a possibility, but I can't really speak to that. That would be a Dan question. So, okay. Anything else for new business? Okay, then we will confirm the next meeting date. We are set for May 27th at 11:15. If something urgent comes up in between, we can always call a special meeting, but that's the one that's on the books at the moment. So if there's nothing else, shall we adjourn for today?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Jim. All in favor of adjourning for today, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hands are up and the eyes are in, and we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, if not sooner. So have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks a lot.